Hey guys, how's it going? Here's a project that went on for far too long. I started this nearly a year and a half ago, and then it got cold, and then my basement exploded. So, yeah, you can check out those videos up here. Long story short, it's done now. So, let's jump into the work and jump through about 6 different workspaces. To start off this project, I take a sheet of plywood and rip it down to size on the table saw. Then I load up my crosscut sled and cut the piece into 2. My plan is to laminate these 2 sheets together to effectively make a 1-inch thick slab. Then after selecting which sides I want to be the show sides, I crack open a tube of polyurethane construction adhesive and glue the sheets together. Then with some clamps I apply pressure to all the sides and leave it to dry for, I actually don't remember how long I left it for. It was definitely a few days before I came back to take the clamps off. So now it's a couple months later and I'm in the middle of my basement renovation, as well as my dartboard cabinet build, which you can also check out up here. Here I am installing the edge banding, which is around a 3/16 inch thick slice of 2x4. Since the shelf is contained by 3 walls, I am only having to worry about the front edge. After I cut it to rough length, I spread some glue out on the back of the edge banding and secure it in place on the shelf with some painter's tape to dry. The next day, as far as I know, I pull off the tape and cut the sides of the edge banding to final length. I started to cut the tops and bottoms of the edge banding off in the same way. Realizing that this would take forever and most likely look like hot garbage, I switched over to the hand plane to cut the edge banding flush. So it would only look like room temperature garbage. This was before I owned a router. Since I was working in the basement at the time, I was fairly limited in when I was able to work on projects, and I was really only to make noise for an hour or so a night. So the next night, I break out the random orbit sander and sand up to 220 grit. With the sanding done, I move on to finishing, where I use my typical finish of 3 coats of oil-based polyurethane with sanding to 320 grit between coats. Hey, guess what? It's a couple months later again, and I'm finally getting around to installing the shelf. It will be going above the bathroom door to store the assorted paper products, and full credit to my wife for that idea. To install the shelf, I'm using these mounting blocks I made off camera, which are just 2x4 scraps that I cleaned up and finished the same way as the shelf. I installed these to the wall using a couple washers and toggle bolts. I plug the mounts into the wall, and before I tighten the toggle bolts all the way down, I make sure the mounts are leveled out compared to each other. Then once the mounts are locked down, I just screw the shelf into the mounting blocks from underneath. And with that, this project is finally done. Overall, I'd say this project was a success. Unfortunately, something I didn't notice when I did my initial measurements was that my walls are apparently not square, shocking enough, and the front of the shelf would have been needed to be wider than the back. I could fix it with some additional edge banding on the sides and then scribe it to the walls, but based on the history of this project, if I take it down to work on it again, it could be years by the time I get back to it. And on that note, I'm going to call it a video. So, thank you guys for watching, and if you like what I'm doing here, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more. And if you want to see more current projects, you can follow me on Instagram at John the Schreiner. I hope to see you in the next video, and have a good one.